think you can tell. I'm enjoying this class, which is like really cool. Although I should stay on topic more. But so, Josiah Royce, fantastic response to William James, because William James is a pragmatist. What the heck is pragmatism? Let's go back to my notes and talk. Well, that's a darn good question. I'd love to hear what you think as you try to figure that out. Because you could read Mill on utilitarianism, or even Bentham. Remember, go back to Bentham and use your hedonistic calculus to try to figure out, what would bring more happiness to the greater number of people. Wow. But there's an American outburst, and this is a quotation from a book by Louis Menand, which is titled The Metaphysical Club. Because that was the real name of the club. They had a club at Harvard called the Metaphysical Club. And who was associated with it? William James and Charles Sanders Peirce. Is that a question? No, it's an itch. I get an itchy back if I take too many showers. But, that's a whole nother thing. It dries your skin out, I guess. And so the Metaphysical Club, Louis Menand is terrific. I don't have any self-control. I say what I think. It's just, so please don't get me in trouble if I say something like, that I shouldn't. That's. But Louis Menand is terrific, and it's about 4 of our famous American pragmatists. Oliver Wendell Holmes, who was a Supreme Court justice, if you've ever heard of him. William James, Charles Sanders Peirce, who probably you've never heard of.
Did Oliver Wendell Holmes do something in the Supreme Court? Like, I remember him.
Yeah, he kind of did a lot of things.
Okay.
It's pretty famous, actually. Well, this is a terrific book because what it does is it gives a little bit of a biography of the 4 of them. And the last one is John Dewey, by the way. Gives you a little biographical bit and then shows how they're interrelated. So, for example, Charles Sanders Peirce is considered the one who invents pragmatism. And what he essentially means by it is an analysis of language and to find out what the semiotic, the theory of meaning, is. And what does a word mean? It means what it is used to do in the language. So these are tools. Words are tools. And so in order for you to figure out what they actually do, you need to sit there at the little village, where these people are all speaking whatever language, right? And you write down the sounds that they make and the actions that they do, and you pair them off, and you gradually come to identify that all of these different words mean this action, right? So the words mean something in a particular context. It's the theory of the semiotic. And pragmatism tries to focus on how the meaning of words in the language actually can be interpreted in the larger questions. So for the most part, the big questions of metaphysics are nonsensical. We're wasting our time talking about this stuff. So basically up to this point, your whole philosophy experience in this class has been a total waste of your time, because none of these kinds of questions can be answered because they're basically not pragmatic enough for them to mean anything concrete. It's a waste of time. So let's start all over again now and try to figure out, what does it mean when we talk about these metaphysical terms? Says Charles Sanders Peirce. Charles Sanders Peirce was the son of a mathematician who taught at Harvard. look at him. I should go with I know that's a better article probably, but we can also go with Wiki, I suppose. You get to see he's 1839.
He died today.
Actually, it did.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Second time.
He also.
Are you
he also
planning
faced World
this?
War One.
Uh-huh.
I think he's playing.
Yeah, I
I
think
wasn't
this is
planning
planned.
it, but the
The
will,
course, the way we put
the
the
will,
course together.
the karma.
No, I'm trying to give us, is this a good luck or bad luck?
Yeah.
Can't be bad luck. Everything I do is good luck. My whole life has just been,
By definition.
you know. Even when I broke my leg playing softball against the artillery, so I always refer to it as my one injury in the military was from friendly fire.
Yeah.
From the
How are you gonna
artillery.
win against the cannon?
What was this? The guy hit the ball, went right, I was second base, so I caught the ball, and instead of flipping it to the shortstop who was already covering the bag, I put the tag on the guy, the first base runner, and he slid into my leg and broke it.
And what was lucky about that?
I ended up not being able to continue being the platoon sergeant at the second platoon in A company, and they moved me to the headquarters company into the skiff, which was where I wanted to be.
Okay, that is lucky.
Because I couldn't do the stuff, and so instead I was kind of like on the crutches thing, and into the place where I could sit in the warm building instead of freezing my patoot, in the woods, etc. So, and that actually worked well because I ended up making E7 easy enough, and then went on, etc. So that was cool. That worked out really well. Yeah, all my life the bad luck thingies turned out to be, wow, look what it did. It was always in the long run.
Yeah, if you look at it in the long run, it always turns out to be A-okay.
Plus, it's because I have a way of
Usually.
interpreting everything as a narrative, and my narratives I always put a positive slant on them, which make it.
Hopefully you're getting.
We couldn't have children. Don and I tried. We followed the rules. Step one. Didn't work. So we adopted children. And we got three terrific children and one, pain in the ass, But, it's absolutely wonderful, the children. Absolutely.
same.
Even the one who's a pain in the ass, we love him. It's just that, it's so fun. Remember, he has fetal alcohol,
Yes.
so it's not his fault.
No.
Right, in our way of viewing it. But, there's nothing you can do to fix the damage that occurred to him as a fetus because of alcohol. Terrible, absolutely terrible.
My nephew has FAS, and he's the same way. He's like the Tasmanian devil.
And the sad thing is, a lot of, training him with blocks and,
And like speech therapy.
yeah, it's not gonna help. The circuits are not there.
Yeah.
So you can't fix it. That's really sad. But so, yeah. Charles Sanders Peirce, father was a mathematician professor at Harvard. And he was also the head of the National Geodetic Survey. Did I say that right? I think so. They were the ones that did the mapping of the country, physical mapping out of the country. And Charles Sanders Peirce, as he grew up in Harvard, he was a member of the Metaphysical Club where he met William James, who was also a member there. William James we'll talk about, but Charles Sanders Peirce ended up then graduating summa cum laude and went on to do three different things. One was he worked with his father in the National Geodetic Survey, mapping the area around Washington, D.C. during the Civil War for the North. mapping the area to try to make sure that the area was properly defended in case of the South attack. So that was one of the things he did. He also was a philosopher, specializing in logic and the theory of meaning, right, the semiotic. And he also studied the nature of light. His specialty was measuring the speed of light. It's kind of interesting. He ended up teaching at Johns Hopkins University, which is in Maryland, right near the NSA, where I worked for 4.5 years. And in fact, where my son Christopher was born. So that's where we adopted Christopher. Well, we were there. He's the one that has the fetal alcohol. I never went to Johns Hopkins, though. I think I saw some of the buildings, but I never visited it at the time. But in any case, while he was there and a professor, one of his students was John Dewey. And so what you see, by the way, through this is that all of these major philosophers that we think of as pragmatists were physically connected as associates, basically. John Dewey was never actually in one of Charles Sanders Peirce's classes, but he did attend some of his lectures that he did. But Charles Sanders Peirce was only teaching there for a short while because he dated a divorced woman. And as a result of that terrible faux pas, he was fired. Because that's just absolutely horrible, dating a divorced woman. I mean, ugh, you know? How could you do that? And so they fired him, and he never got another job because, you know, that's kind of going to ruin your career. Dated a divorced woman.
Why is that bad?
Hey, you look at life now.
You'd have to ask them back then why that was bad. In any case, as a result of that, he just went back to his home in a Risby. Here's a Risby. It's still there. It's a scenic stopover. You could stop there and visit. It's in the Delaware Water Gap area. It's a mile south of the Walmart. So if you're driving up the road there, you want to stop in for a few minutes. It's not that big, but he ended up living the rest of his life there. He wasn't making any money, so basically.
That place did not make any money.
Pardon?
You know, he's well off, it looks like. Just to not make any money.
He married her, by the way. And here's the real kicker. She was French. The divorced woman was French, and he married. And so, you know, they lived there. And he wrote. But he was not making any money. So how did he survive? His friend William James, here, you know, had money and helped him out. So that's Charles Sanders Peirce, and his books are usually not read by folks without good training in technical logic because they are very technical and difficult. But they are there. I think quite a lot of them are on the web, maybe not. It's one of those things where the Charles Sanders Peirce Society is trying to keep people from having free access to it because they want money for it. So, yes.
So that's like a house, not like an apartment complex? That's a house, girl.
Why do you got so many windows there?
Yeah, I was thinking the same. It looks like different.
A lot of houses had, or a lot, back then they've had lots of windows.
And doors.
It did show.
And the porches.
And the Walmart wasn't there, so I don't know where it even got its stuff, you know. So,
And then there's like a house or something right.
That's
Behind
probably
it,
the garage
sheet room is
inside
No, this
the,
is like a
it
really.
looks like it's built inside the, hill, so it's the garage in the hill. You see what I'm saying?
It's a
you
hole.
can visit, it's
And
still
then there's
there.
like a balcony where there's no sunlight, so like. Covered balcony.
That's where he was born, and that clearly has been updated. That's not what it must have looked like.
Not unnecessary doors. Normal mouth door. Oh, that's him?
That was him. That's his signature.
See, that first one looks good. If you take out the beard,
His hair.
that was good looking.
And here, oh, her name was Juliet.
Oh.
So there you go. He married her. But, you know, you can't, as a college professor, you could not date a divorced woman. So there you go.
I think that's a very pretty house.
And
Oh.
there's their grave.
Oh, they share the same grave?
Yeah, a lot of people are planning on.
There's plenty of room.
You could do that.
And it's not,
That's kinda cute.
it's not like, I'm planning on,
I don't want your rotten juices on top of the
You don't understand. Listen, there's two different coffins. They go separate, or one
Like
of them
right
is
next to
buried
each
and
other?
then one of them
but
is
you can have,
She was buried
you
on
can have a
top.
ladder installed, so
Oh,
you can have visiting, right?
Like in the
Oh,
Target
okay, so
complex.
juices are all gone.
Yeah.
Pardon?
I would be fine with being in one grave. with
I'm
mine.
planning on getting buried for free, because I'm eligible for a spot on Fort Richardson in the cemetery there.
Oh.
And Donna and I've already visited it because she wanted to go and see what the cemetery looks like, so